Today we'll be reviewing Outlook Theory Worksheet lesson number 25, and to start off, we're going to be checking out which one is the missing factor. So, looking at number 1, we have 2 times 4 times blank equals 8. So, in order to find our little blank right here, we should first multiply these two together. And 2 times 4 is the same thing as 4 plus 4, and 4 plus 4 is just 8. And then now we have 8 times blank equals 8. And we know that anything times 1 will be itself. So number 1 is just 1. Number 2, we have 2 times 4 in parentheses times blank equals 24. So this one's telling us that we have to do 2 times 4 first, which there's not really a point of having the parentheses because those are only two numbers anyways. So, but either way, let's still solve them out, which is, we already know it's 8, so we can put 8 right here. Let me put that right here, sorry. And then we have times blank equals 24. And if you don't know your times tables, then we'll have to add up 3. We'll have to slowly add up 8 until we get to 24. So 8 plus 8 equals 16, plus another 8 is 24. So that means that 8 is multiplied 3 times. So our answer for number 2 is 3. For number 6, we have 42 is equal to 7 times blank times 2. However, this time our parentheses is in blank first. So in order to find out what gets to 42, we have to figure out what times 7 is going to get us to 42. And 7, we already know that 7 times 5 is 35. Let me write that a little better. So in order to get 42, we can add 7 more, and that gets us 42. So that tells us that 7 times 6 is going to get us to 42. And we know that 3 times 2, which is 3 plus 3, gets us 6. So our answer for number 6 is 3. Number 7, we have 6 times 1 times 8 equals blank. And we can just cross out this 1 because we know it's not going to affect the equation. And now we have 6 times 8. And if you don't know your times tables, then obviously you won't know the answer yet. But if you do, then you would. But I'm imagining that you don't. So let's add it up slowly. Let's add 8 6 times. So 8 plus 8 is 16, plus another 8, 24, plus another 8, 32, 40, and 48. So that tells us that our answer is 48 for number 7. For this next part, we're going to be writing a division sentence using subtraction. In our example here, it says we start with 12, then we take away groups of 4 until you reach 0. Count the numbers of times you subtract 4. 12 minus 4 is 8, 1. 8 minus 4 is 4, is 2. 4 minus 4 is 0, 3. Once you subtract 4 from 12 3 times, there are 3 groups of 4 and 12. And that means that you have 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So let's look at number 1. Using the example, we see that, oh wow, 8 minus 2 4 times will eventually get us to 0. So that tells us that 8 divided, or let me write it out a little better. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Because as we see, you minus 2 4 times eventually and it'll get to 0. For number 2, here we see we have the same thing, but this time we have 24 minus 8, and we see it's subtracted 3 times. So that tells us that our equation for this one is going to be 24 divided by 8 is equal to 3, because we see that it takes 3 times for it to become 0. Lastly, for number 3, we have 20 minus 5, and we see that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So that tells us that our division sentence is going to be 20 divided by 5 equals 4. For this next page, we're using division subtraction to solve again, which is extremely long, but if you memorize your times tables, you don't have to do all this unnecessary work. But let's imagine that you don't yet. So here we have 15 divided by 3. We'll have to subtract it as many times until we get 0. So 15 minus 3 is 12, then it becomes 9, 6, 3, and 0. And technically, I'm gonna exclude this first one because this one, there's no point of it. So we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So that tells us our answer for number 1 is 5. Same thing for number 2. We have 21 divided by 7. We're gonna subtract. So 21 minus 7 is gonna be 14. Then minus 7 is 7, and then minus 7 again is 0. That tells us that there's 3 of them, so that tells us that number 2 is 3. But as you see, this method takes forever to do, so I recommend that you just memorize your times tables. For number 7, we have 25 divided by 5. So we have 25, 20, or let me exclude this 25 actually. 20, 15, 10, 5, and 0. So we see that it appears 5 times. So that tells us our answer is 5. And lastly, we have 24 divided by 8. And as I remember, actually, it's the same thing up here. I already know it's 3. So we'll just put 3. And for word problems, Mark buys 22 baseball cards. He keeps 10 cards and divides the rest equally among his two friends. How many cards will each friend get? So let's find out how many he has after he gives 10 away first. So 22 minus 10, that gets us 12. And he divides them evenly among his two friends, so that's 12 divided by 2. And what plus itself will get us 12? Well, that's simply just 6 and 6. So our answer for this one is 6. Number 2, Christy arranged 28 stamps so that 7 were in each row. How many rows did she make? So we're going to just use the subtraction method that we learned previously. So we're going to do 28 minus 7, which is 21. Then subtract again, we get 14. Subtract again, we get 7. And subtract again, we get 0. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That tells us that she made 4 rows in total.